Hello and welcome to another edition of Protect and Educate. I'm your host, Marco Johnson. Thank you for joining us. As many of you already know, October is Bullying Prevention Month. And here to join us to talk about it is Sergeant Gary Washington with the Kansas City, Kansas Public Schools Police Department. Gary, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So why is it important that we recognize this month?
It's of the utmost importance as an educational institution and organization that we recognize this, because as we look across the country, and if we go back historically, we can see that bullying has led to a lot of the incidents that we've had in our schools that were not positive incidents, school shootings and violence. Bullying itself sometimes tends to make children feel like they're isolated, socially isolated, and like they really don't have, they can't be who they need to be because they're criticized and they're ridiculed based on what their peers or what other individuals think about them. So it definitely has a negative impact on our ability to educate and to protect our children.
You've been in the district for a long time. As we were talking earlier, has bullying gotten more prevalent, or is it kind of stable, or how do you see it?
It's a little more prevalent now because you now have social media, which in those days we did not have social media. Bullying was more or less a one-on-one thing between a child or children in a group, and a responsible adult, parent or educator or administrator then could identify and begin to work through that process. But now with the usage of social media, it's much more complicated and sophisticated. Cyberbullying is also a big deal for us these days, and it's hard to stay on top of it.
So when you say complicated, what do you mean by that? Well,
kids now, they're born into an information technology age. They don't have to be taught the way there's no learning curve. They come out, and if you have a cell phone or if you have any type of an electronic device, school computer, they learn how to work around and through firewalls to do the things that they want to do. The advent of all of the various social media outlets. Years ago, we just had to worry about email, but now you're dealing with Facebook, which is old. That's for old people now. TikTok. So there are a lot of different avenues of approach that they can use to build fake sites or to attack other individuals. I think a main emphasis that kids place on social media is it gives them that sense of who I am, my identity, something that they may not get at home or in their personal life. So when you go out on Facebook or you go out into social media, then you can be whoever you want to be.
I see. So as parents and even the KCKPS Police Department, what can we do to kind of squash this?
I'm going to go back now. This is old school, relationship building. Mentoring and relationship building with young people. It's imperative that we do that. You have to get to know people. In this uniform, you have to transcend being a police officer because they want to know who you are in this uniform. And so that relationship building, that leads to mentoring, that leads to open lines and establishing and maintaining consistent lines of communication so that when children are having issues, they feel comfortable coming to some responsible adult, even if it's not a police officer. It can be a teacher, a peer educator or an administrator, or some responsible adult within that facility that they feel comfortable saying, hey, look, I'm having an issue. This is what's going on. Let me show you this.
Those relationships are so very important and key to this. And what I mean by that is, how do you feel about parents and them monitoring their children's social media efforts or their activity? Is that crossing the line?
No, absolutely. Parents should be doing that. And I think a lot of the issues that we find out about that directly have an adverse impact on the child's academic performance and the safety of our schools. When we investigate, we find out a lot of times parents don't know what the kids are doing. They give them a device. It's not uncommon to see a 3 or 4 or 5-year-old who's given a tablet because, hey, you go over in the corner and you do what you need to do on this tablet, or here's the remote to the television, and you have smart devices now. You buy a television now, and it's a smart TV, so they can actually access the internet and social media through that smart device. You have Alexa, and you have other devices in the home that you can talk to. Alexa, whatever, and Alexa will answer you or answer that child, and it doesn't take long for children to figure that out. So absolutely, I think that parents are remiss in their duties if they don't take that seriously.
Now, we've been talking about the social media aspects, but there's different forms of bullying.
Yes, sir.
So I think the bottom line is that we need to listen to our children and see where they are emotionally. This could actually lead to a good dialogue, an open conversation about what needs to be done to kind of put this to an end.
Absolutely, because kids want to talk sometimes. They want somebody to tell their story to. A lot of times, like I said, they become socially isolated, and they think, well, I don't want anybody to think that I'm stupid. And they don't, the peer pressure thing has always been a part of the, should I say, the transition from childhood to young adolescence to late adolescent years. And it's very important that they do have someone that they can go to, that they can talk to, that they feel comfortable about it, someone whom will listen to them, and someone whom they know will go out and help to take the resources that are available to us to try to mitigate that problem.
There is a safe way to report bullying through KCKPS, correct?
Yes.
What is that?
Well, one of the things we do, you can always contact your SRO, your school resource officer. He or she is right on the front line.
Okay.
And that's what we refer to. Because a lot of times these kids are going to feel more comfortable. Like I said, if that officer, if he or she is in that building, if they're actively engaged in those children's lives, just having informal conversations, then that network is going to be established, and other kids will say, hey, go talk to Officer so-and-so. He'll listen. Or they'll come in and give you tips sometimes. Hey, so-and-so's having a problem. And a lot of times when we solve or we resolve these issues, that's how we do it. Because kids will bring us video, or they'll bring us a post from a social media outlet and say, hey, look at what I got here.
Yes.
And then that helps us with our investigation. If we do need to get involved with KCK or some other outside organization, then that gives them something to go on too. Because sometimes these events occur not on our property, but at home, at night, over the weekend, over the summertime, but then it's brought to our attention later. And so that's a good way then to help us to investigate and resolve.
Real quick, before we go, we know that some students might be more comfortable reporting a bullying issue online. So we have a link on kckschools.org and on every school website. There's certainly a lot of things that we need to think about when it comes to bullying, and I appreciate you stopping by today, because you've given us a lot of good insight on what's going on, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate what you do.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, sir.
And thank you for watching, and this is another edition of Protect and Educate.